All right, let's do this.
We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the July 12th, 21 meeting for the Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair this year, also representing the District 2. Joining me today is Commissioner Bill Rippon, representing District 1. Good morning.
Good morning.
Commissioner Aaron Mays, representing District 3. Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Clerk, our first item.
First item is item 3, consent agenda.
There are 3 items on the agenda for consent. Are there any questions or is there a motion?
I'll move to approve. Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
I'll move to approve.
Okay. Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays.
I'll second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, County Coroner number 1, consider approval of request to appoint Jewel Pizzino, medical investigator, and Sharon Mandel, interim director of investigations as special deputy coroners.
Good morning, Commission. My name is Sharon Parks Mandel with the Coroner's Office.
My name is Caitlin Garcia with the Coroner's Office.
And we're here to answer any questions you might have about this item.
Okay. This is to appoint Jewel Pizzino as a medical investigator and then you as a special deputy coroner. Is this going to help improve the coroner's office and the operations for Shawnee County?
What is the reason for that is Jennifer McCollum, who was previously there, she has resigned, she's gone. So I was asked to come back in as an interim director to assist with the transition of getting more staffing, different staff to replace her. I'm designed to be just interim for as long as it takes, and I don't know how long that's going to be. But I'm working with the staff. And when she left, that did leave a pretty big gap with the special deputy status. Caitlin's the only one in the office that can approve cremations, and we really need another couple of folks to have that legal ability to do so, which is the reason that we're asking for your approval of this.
So this is to make sure that there are still continuity of operations and so that there aren't delays?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
So it's safe to assume that you'll be back again once the staffing levels get to where you need them for another approval of some other
Yeah, I
people?
suspect that would be the case
Okay.
when there's a new person hired permanently. I'm sure that person then would be brought back to work with Caitlin and Jewel. Caitlin's full-time, Jewel is full-time, I'm interim.
Okay. Any other questions? No. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Thank you very much. Our next item.
Item C, Planning Department number 1, public hearing and consider approval of resolution number 2021-52 for the rezoning of 160 acres located at the northeast corner of Southeast Croco Road and Southeast 45th Street in Tecumseh Township.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Anderson, Planning Department. The request that's before you today is to rezone 160 acres. It's at the northeast corner of Southeast Croco and Southeast 45th Street. This property was originally rezoned in 2005 as a mixed-use development for literally a project. You see the property that's next to the city limits, to the east of the city limits. That was going to be a mixed-use development that was comprised of several zoning districts. You had some multifamily, some single family, some duplex, office and institutional. There was a commercial component that was included in a PUD that was going to allow commercial uses at the corner, basically the lot that is right at the intersection of the two streets there. The request before you today is simply to rezone the property back to its original zoning condition, which is RR1. The never came to fruition, obviously. The development has sat for the last 15 years vacant without anything happening on it. The original investors and developer have divested the property to the applicant, and what he would like to do is just build a single house on the back northeast corner of the top lot of the three that you see there before you, and then wait on the property to see if a market ever emerges in the future. But he always wants to put the property back into its normal condition of RR1 because there's no project pending on the property. So it makes no sense to leave in a mixed-use development template that was there for a project that's not going to happen at this time. So there's the two property. I mean, the three properties. You have an 80-acre property on the north, 240s on the corner side. The public was very excited the fact that the zoning was going to be changed. We had several phone calls, wanting to confirm that it was going to be down zoned back to its original condition. They were happy. As a result, nobody showed up at the planning commission, so there was no opposition to the request. The staff finds that the proposed zoning change would comply with the golden factors and would comply with accepted general urban planning conditions and is appropriate for the location. And the planning commission, by a vote of 6-0, did recommend approval of it. So after you've conducted your public hearing, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have about the rezoning.
I'll make a motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
Motion to open public hearing by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed. Reflect that it passes 3-0. Randy, some questions that I have for you. When this development was first initiated as a PUD, was there also special tax specials that were created for this district?
I don't know about the taxing part of it. I know the city of Topeka definitely had utility agreements that were put into place as a condition of them. Let me go back one step before I answer that question fully. The city of Topeka has required these individuals to file a minor preliminary and final replat. As part of that replat process, this applicant has agreed to consent to the annexation of the property at such time as the property is developed, and also agreed to maintain all of the existing agreements, particularly on the utility side, that were put into effect in 2005 when the project was approved. Whether or not that pertains to taxing, I don't know that answer. But the city was very particular. They wanted to maintain all. They spent a lot of time going through the utilities, making sure that this property was ready to be developed at such a time in the future as it was ready. Those are all still in effect. And on the plat, those conditions were stipulated as general notes on the plat that they were to be maintained.
Well, I know that there are times where you'll have a development and then the taxing entities may create specials to kind of recoup some of those costs of utility placements, and so I just don't, and so you're not sure what specials there may be on the property?
Not on the taxing side, no, sir.
Okay. And then as far as the development goes, this is taking it from the possibility of being a commercial property back to just agriculture and residential?
Yes, sir. The property, when it's platted, as it's been platted and recorded, will have the same 3 lots in a slightly different configuration, but there will be one. The only thing to be allowed is one single-family house on each of those 3 parcels.
Okay. Commissioners, questions? See, there is a member of the public. Anybody wanting to speak in favor of the, if you, come on up. And say your name.
I'm Justin Bennett, I'm the actual applicant. There were specials passed along with the property, so between the three, there's about 380,000 specials that were transferred to me.
Okay.
That I'm responsible for.
And now, will those specials continue even with the changing of the zoning?
Yes,
Okay.
they'll stay with the property.
Any other questions?
What are the utilities for this location?
So it's rural water, District Number 8, Evergy, and then we will be running Kansas gas service to the corner of the lot. And as Randy said, we'll annex back into the public sewer if it ever extends across Croco there.
And your intent is to, instead of having it as a development with houses and residential or commercial properties, just to have 3 houses on those properties?
Just one.
One?
Yeah, we had to sign a waiver with the city that we would only build one because we had to get a septic waiver. And then, yeah, like Randy said, if Topeka starts to grow in that area, we would be open to redeveloping the land. But for right now, to build a house, we have to have all of it rezoned because the PUD extended it through all parcels.
And the remainder of the property would just be agricultural?
Yeah, well, just vacant land. We're gonna clean it up and clear some of the trees out and overgrown brush and stuff.
Okay. Questions?
Nope.
All right. Then is there a motion to close the public hearing and adopt?
Yes, I'll make that motion to close the public hearing and approve the resolution.
Motion to close the public hearing made by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. And I guess just as an abundance of caution, is there anyone wanting to speak against this proposal? I neglected to do that. Seeing none, I just want to make sure that there was clear that everyone had an opportunity to speak. Motion to close and adopt by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Reflected that passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item C2, consider a preliminary final plat to create a 2-lot residential subdivision on a 10-acre parcel located at 210 Northwest Valencia Road in Dover Township. Property is zoned as rural agricultural district.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Randy Anderson, Planning Director. The property is at 210 Northwest Valencia Road in Dover Township. This is before you it's a solution to a condition that happened when the second house on this the second building on this property, which is right here where the cursor is at the very top center, got converted into a single-family residence. So essentially, we had one lot with 2 homes on it. Property is zoned RR1, which only allows one home per lot. So this developer is subdividing this property to split the property so each one will have its own one home on each residential lot. There will be a shared access easement coming back to service these 2 lots. So we're only going to still have one driveway off of Valencia, which is good. Each one will have its own septic system, and each lot will be self-contained where it can handle its own needs without having to get anything from the adjoining property owner, such as the septic lateral fields and those type of issues. The plat does comply with all the requirements of your subdivision regulations, so the staff has recommended approval of the request. That is the preliminary plat you're looking at there, showing what's on the property. And this is the final plat that will be recorded by the Register of Deeds. And we went to the Planning Commission, obviously, and there was no concerns that came up. No people spoke in opposition to the request. So by a vote of 6-0, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this request. And the engineer for the applicant is here. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or you can speak to Rick.
County Councilor, Mr. Crowell, do we need to open a public hearing, or can we just take a vote on this?
You can just vote on this, sir.
All right. Are there any questions for Randy or the applicant?
Chairman, I have a question about the access there. So the easement for access to both houses is off
Valencia.
Valencia.
Right.
And that's what that That one delineated area is at the top.
That's correct in a way.
And that's for both houses, right?
Right, and the way it's platted, and if I'm wrong, Rick, correct me, the way it's platted, the access easement would actually be on the lot that has the second residence here. So the original owner would take access off of that easement onto the property, so that's how it works together. He's nodding that that's correct.
Okay.
And there will also be no access allowed on the rest of that frontage there, so in the great scheme of engineering of things, that's the preferred way of doing it. We have one access for two lots, so we don't create congestion. It's an area where a lot of trucks come down through there, so it's a good solution.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion for approval made by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Reflected, it passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item D, Audit Finance. Number 1, consider approval of resolution number 2021-53, notifying the Shawnee County Clerk of the Board of County Commissioners' intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate for the 2022 budget.
Good morning, Betty Griner, Director of Administrative Services. We have a new budget law this year. Senate Bill 13 was passed by the Kansas legislature. This bill includes many additional duties for the county clerk, but I'm just going to talk about how it affects our budget. This resolution, as that you have today, is not setting a budget amount or setting a mill levy. It is strictly a notice that there is a possibility that the commission may increase their mill levy over this revenue neutral rate. And I will explain what that revenue neutral rate is. The Board of County Commissioners is required by law to fund all required state services performed by all elected and appointed officials. You have no choice in that. That includes if there's cost increases or anything, that's something that has to be done. Shawnee County also has contractual obligations that have inflationary increase clauses in them. We have a contract with Horizon for the medical services for inmates. That has such a clause. So does the contract for the food service for the inmates. We also, as a county, we have to, there is a need to make sure that we pay the market rate for our employees so that we can attract and retain our employees. And then just all the other costs that, as we know, tend to go up from year to year with inflation. Senate Bill 13 requires the calculation of a revenue neutral rate by the county clerk. That is defined as, and I'm going to read this, the tax rate for the current tax year that would generate the same property tax revenue as levied the previous year using the current tax year's total assessed valuation. So let me try to give you a little more information on that and make it a little clearer. Each year, the county clerk determines what the mill levy is based on the adopted budget amount. So if you take the assessed value, and that's not your appraised value, that is the assessed value, and you divide that by 1,000, then that is 1 mill. That determines what a mill is. The revenue needed for the adopted budget divided by the mill determines how many mills there is for that taxing authority for that year. As the assessed value increases due to the markets and sales, and as we know that the market has certainly been increasing recently, the amount of 1 mill increases. This normally helps cover any of the inflationary costs that a government would have. Unfortunately, we're not immune to inflation. We have it just like everyone else does. Senate Bill 13 requires the county clerk to calculate this revenue neutral rate based on the current levied tax amount. That's the dollar amount, not a mill levy. That take the current levied tax amount, and if that would remain the same, then you apply that using the new assessed valuation. So let me give you an example. If we levied $85 million in order to cover the costs of the adopted budget, but property values went up from last year, then we would actually be required to decrease our mill levy because the assessed value went up, the levied amount had to remain the same. So in order, this Senate Bill 13 does not take any inflationary rates into account at all. Now, in order to exceed this revenue neutral rate, there are some requirements. And there are some others, but I'm just going to go into the one that we're facing right here today. If the entity plans to exceed this revenue neutral rate, they have to notify the county clerk by July 20th. That's why I'm here before you today. Then we must notify the county clerk must notify all property owners of this intent, and we must hold a public hearing. Since the revenue neutral rate does not allow for any type of increases, inflationary or otherwise, I am here today and am recommending the approval of this resolution, which notifies the county clerk of our intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate. I believe that it's necessary for us to maintain the services that we provide to the taxpayers of Shawnee County. And also, this resolution would also set the time and date of the public hearing, which would be August the 23rd at 5:30 p.m. here at the county courthouse. If you have any questions, county counselor, the county clerk, or I will try to answer them.
I know that last Friday, when the county clerk made her budget presentation, she spoke to us about the new requirements of the legislature, the burdens placed upon the clerks now by the legislature, especially with the passage of Senate Bill 13 that we're discussing today, and how this has created a lot of additional stress and just confusion, too, as to how the law applies. And so here we are today, and this is our first year with Senate Bill 13. And so putting this in layman's terms, this is a first notice to the public that there may be an increase of your mill levy when it comes through the budget time. Not saying that we're setting the budget, not saying what that increase may or may not be, but this is a possibility that we would be exceeding, we would be going above the revenue neutral rate.
Yes, which the revenue neutral rate would be less than last year's mill levy
Right.
because our assessed value went up.
And so if we were to look at 2019, our mill levy was 48.194, and then in 2020 was 48.172, and then in 21 was 48.157. So during 2018, 2019, and 2019, 2020, and 2021, the mill levy went down just minutely on each of those 3 years. And part of that was due to the increase of the appraised or assessed values.
Yes.
And so this is saying, anticipating that there may be an increase in assessed values, if there's even the possibility that our mill levy would be above that revenue neutral rate, we need to have public notice.
That's true.
Okay. Questions, Commissioner Mays?
Just to clarify, this is not something unique to the county, though. This is something that all local government is going to have to do unless they're planning on lowering their budgets significantly.
Well, they might, yes, either lower their budget or keep their budget exactly the same dollar-wise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, regardless of what the assessed value does, go up
So
or down.
we would expect to see similar resolutions from townships, from cities, everyone except the state of Kansas because they exempted themselves.
Right,
Okay.
yes, yes, the library, the Washburn,
The Airport
all-
Authority.
Yes, all taxing authorities.
How will we notify all property owners? Is this something?
Well, this first year, we have to, and the county clerk might like to address that.
Well, see, this year, we got exempted from the notification to every person. All we have to do this year is every entity has to, when they do their their notice for the public budget hearing, they have to have the revenue neutral rate hearing, and that has to be published either along with the budget notice or separately. They have to have the revenue neutral rate hearing separate from the budget hearing. So that would, and then next year for the next budget, then we will be sending out notices to every taxpayer who's affected. So if Shawnee County, the city of Topeka, and 501 were the only ones next for the 23 tax budget year, if they were the only three that decided to change their revenue neutral rate, we would have to send notifications to anybody that lived in those tax units or tax districts. But
And Ms. Beck, there are approximately 75,000 parcels in Shawnee County. So if we were looking at the same situation next year, that would mean mailing out a notice to 75,000 plus individuals.
it's just like tax statements. The cost would be very similar so we would have the tax statement cost every year, and this is going to be an additional cost. Now, the legislation does include reimbursement for postage and the flyers or the actual notifications for the first 2 years, but no reimbursement for any, if we have to have software adjustments or if any of the additional staff or staff time done then doing something that's all new. And then we have to. And of course, the state they have to fund it. I mean, they can pass a bill saying, the legislature can pass a bill saying they're going to reimburse us, but they actually have to put it in their budget. So that's something we really need to be cognizant of at the July of next year to make sure that when they do their state budget, that part is left as part of it. Big deal.
So, back to your question, Commissioner Rippon. This year, we have to publish it in the paper. We will put it on our website.
Mhm.
But then next year, it will be a mailing to each person.
Any other questions? I'm going to move for approval of the resolution of notifying the Shawnee County Clerk of our intent to exceed a revenue neutral rate for the 2022 budget. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item D2, demonstration of public access to the capital improvement plan projects.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jennifer Sauer, Deputy Financial Administrator in Audit Finance. Much less complicated topic for you today. Next week, we will have the capital improvement project scheduled to be discussed by the Commissioners on the BCC meetings on July 19th and 22nd. For Shawnee County, just a quick definition, a capital improvement project, or CIP as we call it, is defined as a project with a useful life of over 5 years and a project cost of more than $50,000. And so I'm here just to demonstrate to you how the public would be able to see what some of our capital improvement projects are for this year. And I guess I should also state our CIP plan goes for a 5-year term. So this year, people would have turned in their plans for 22 through 2026. So if you go out to the Shawnee County website, which is snco.us, you would just go to the Audit Finance Department. And over on the left, there is an item called CIP, which gives you some quick information on all of our CIP items that have been turned in. The first chart shows the CIPs by department. The second one gives you a pie chart. There is a little link that you can click up on the top and see where all of our, I don't know if I have to do that or not, where all of our CIPs show on a map. So here's Shawnee County, and you can kind of see our projects are throughout the county. Most of those outlying projects would be public works projects. Let me close that. If you aren't sure, like if you lived up here and you're like, what's going on? You can see there was a culvert replacement that was on Northeast Kimball Road, north of 35th Street. I'm getting out of the map, scrolling down just a little bit. You can also filter what you're looking for. So if I was curious, what exactly is the weed department up to over the next few years? I could search for the weed department, and I can see they have a few items that are listed. They have the weed department equipment refresh, the parking and storage lot rehab, and the roof replacement and repair. But included on all of these is multiple pieces of information, including how it's being funded and which fiscal year it will be funded for. So if I really was only interested in this year, I could narrow that down a little more and say I'm interested in what's going on for this budget cycle for 2022. And the only item that they have listed for this budget cycle would be the department equipment refresh, which would be, this year they're looking at a roadside spray unit that will be added to the leased flatbed truck that was approved in April of this year. And it's going to be identical to the ones that they already have, including some software that allows for application rates to be adjusted by the rate of travel. Also listed on here is that every one of the 3 years for this project will be funded by themselves from their noxious weed equipment fund. So this is not a part of the capital outlay budget that capital outlay fund budget. This is funded specifically by the weed department themselves. So there's lots of information out here. You can get lost in it or have a lot of fun searching through our information, I guess.
And Jennifer, this is open to the public. This is up now.
Absolutely.
And we're holding hearings on the 19th and the 22nd regarding our CIP for 2022.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And so if the public does want to look at a specific area, they would have the ability to do so. They could also come to the meeting or be present during that discussion.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any questions? No? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item E, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C245-2021, agreement number 182-21 with the Secretary of Transportation, Kansas Department of Transportation, stating each party's responsibilities, funding requirements, and general provisions for the Transportation Alternatives Project, the Deer Creek Trail Robinson Extension.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Boyd, Parks and Recreation. We are requesting you to approve this contract with KDOT to move forward on completing the Deer Creek Trail in the future. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
I'll move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
This is an opportunity for any department head or member of the public to address the commission on any item.
Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning, Commissioners. Teresa Fisher, Director with the Health Department. I am here today to announce that we are bringing back our Baby Basics prenatal classes. So this is a set of 6 prenatal classes that we host at the health department typically. We were able to do a couple of these classes virtually over the past year due to the pandemic, but we've got safeguards in place and we feel ready to bring this class back to the health department at the J.P. Lewis location. So we have 2 phone numbers listed, 251-5651 or 251-5648 for participants to call and register. This series of classes will run August 11th through September 15th from 5:30 to 8. So we are excited to see our expectant families in Shawnee County back for this class. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. Derek Flerlog, Infectious Disease Manager for the Health Department. Much like Jennifer, wanted to show off some tools that we have. This one is specific to vaccine outreach and access here in the county. And I noticed on the main county website, this is available too. So we've been looking at ways to increase access to vaccine. Obviously, it's just what we do day to day as part of our operations. And part of this, as I'm sure you all get as well, are questions on how to access vaccine, whether it's through a pharmacy or a clinic that we're running or a private provider in the county or the state. And there's resources for that as well. One that we've come up with here and that we had a kind of a soft launch on Friday and made sure that it got to the website. If people go to shawneehealth.org, we'll take you straight to our website. Of course, like Jennifer said, snco.us will be the main page. And then the vaccine banner will take you to our vaccine homepage. And over on the right-hand side is a helpful links portion. Now this has a bunch of links, including an email link that will allow you to send questions or inquiries to us, as well as links to some of our health systems here in the county, the state vaccine plan, and on and on. Our newest link is Request a Vaccine Clinic. So if members of the public will click on this, this will take you to what we're calling our Shawnee County COVID-19 Vaccine Clinic Request Form. And what this is allowing people to do, and first I'll say that we would like for individuals to click and review the KDHE Community-Led Vaccine Strategy. So if they click this, this will actually take them straight to the PDF. And that just allows them to review a document that the state has that really outlines some items that community members, if it's an employer, it could be a clinic that's looking to focus on equity, leads them through some some checklists to check off what are some important things to learn first before we go forward. So if they review that, they can click next. And I won't go through the entire thing, but of course this will allow them to click through some different vaccine web pages, including our own, the state's, and the CDC's, which also has a Find My Vaccine tool, as well as the email address that I had mentioned prior. And if they click next on this, that gets them into the actual clinic request form. They can look for things, kind of click their category. Again, if they're holding a public event, is it a private event? We're looking at a workplace, a high-risk setting like a long-term care center, independent living, or a congregate setting, or other. And other does allow them to elaborate on their setting. And so they kind of go through this form here. It's not too long. I do want to point out that we do provide all of the information fact sheets. So no matter which vaccine they're interested in, or if they're interested in all three, the vaccine information sheets are here, which lists all of the safety info as well as the clinical trials. Really goes into detail. This actually goes straight to the manufacturer's webpage. So those are a few good links as well. And then we lead them just through some questions. And what this allows us to do as a health department is to confidentially look at what they are asking of us to provide on site, kind of evaluating that on a case-by-case basis, and really reaching back out to them to discuss whether it's feasible for us to provide on the requested date. Oftentimes we have clinics that are going on, and so we always try to adjust and adapt and work with individuals on what their request is. But this is really a more streamlined version and way for them to do so. We're already getting this and have been for several months via email, kind of several members of the team, but this is going to streamline the process, we hope, and hopefully allow for quicker and, again, just a more streamlined approach to it. So if there's any questions, I'm welcome to answer them.
Questions for Dirk? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other administrative communications this morning? Commissioner Mays, anything new?
Yeah, I had a chance to attend the Hank Williams Jr. concert on Saturday night. I know Commissioner Rippon was there as well, saw him there. had a great time. The venue was in full swing for the first time in its newly renovated state. That I think it's going to be there for a long time, and looking forward to many more shows.
Great. Commissioner Rippon.
Well, it's a good concert. I'm amazed. Hank Williams Jr. is like 72 years old, I think I read, and he can still do it. He's a lot of energy there. Also attended a ribbon cutting for new business here in town. It was Denali Home Design. It's good to see another business open up north of Topeka, so attended that. Glad to have them in town.
Great. And then we had the ribbon cutting for the Stormont Vail Event Center on Friday. Want to thank everybody who came out and all of the support. It is a great facility. Glad to see it completely open and renovated, and that project now well underway, and hopefully we can benefit from it for many more generations. There will not be a meeting on Thursday, so our next Board of County Commissioner meeting will be on the 19th. Our next item.
Item 6, executive session.
There is a need for an executive session today for a period not to exceed 20 minutes for consultation with the attorney for the body or agency, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, and this would be for possible litigation and then also for contractual services. That's a motion for 20 minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Reflected, it passes 3-0. We will begin at 9:45. We are back from executive session. No action was taken. We are adjourned.
I need signatures right here.
From
All
everybody?
three, yep. They're, with that